Welcome to the Great Wise God Bible channel. Throughout history, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah has served as a powerful warning. These ancient cities were not only symbols of wealth and success, but also became synonymous with moral decay and divine judgment. In this video, we'll delve deep into what really happened to these cities and explore what the Bible wants us to learn from their fate. Sodom and Gomorrah were located in the lush, fertile plains of the Jordan Valley near the Dead Sea. This region was a prosperous hub of trade and agriculture. The cities flourished, but their prosperity came at a cost. According to the Bible, the inhabitants were guilty of grave sins, including greed, injustice, and cruelty. Ezekiel 16:49-50 tells us, "Now this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed, and unconcerned. They did not help the poor and needy. They were haughty and did detestable things before me." The sins of Sodom and Gomorrah were not just personal, they were systemic. Corruption ran deep, and the cries of the oppressed reached the ears of God. The city's wealth masked a moral and spiritual emptiness that ultimately led to their downfall. The story of Lot is crucial to understanding the events of Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot, the nephew of Abraham, chose to live near Sodom, drawn by the area's wealth and resources. However, this decision exposed him and his family to the corrupting influence of the cities. Lot struggled to maintain his righteousness in a place where immorality was the norm. When two angels visited Sodom, Lot welcomed them into his home, recognizing their divine nature. Yet, the men of Sodom demanded that Lot hand over the visitors, intending to abuse them. Lot's attempt to protect the angels, even offering his daughters instead, highlights the extreme depravity of the city. But it also reveals Lot's compromised values. His sense of morality had been tainted by the environment he chose to live in. The angels then revealed their purpose, to destroy the cities because of their great wickedness. They urged Lot and his family to flee without looking back. Here, the Bible emphasizes the importance of separating ourselves from environments that lead us away from God. Lot's dilemma shows that proximity to sin can erode even the strongest convictions. Before the destruction, Abraham, who was deeply concerned for his nephew, interceded with God. In Genesis chapter 18, verses 23-32, Abraham famously negotiates with God, asking him to spare the cities if even 50 righteous people could be found. He continues to lower the number, finally asking, "What if only 10 can be found there?" And the Lord agreed, "For the sake of 10, I will not destroy it." This conversation reveals two critical aspects of God's character: his justice and his mercy. While God is just and must address sin, he is also merciful and willing to spare the wicked for the sake of the righteous. However, the sad truth is that not even 10 righteous individuals could be found in Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham's plea also teaches us about the power of intercession. As believers, we are called to stand in the gap for others, praying for mercy even when judgment seems inevitable. Abraham's dialogue with God shows that prayer has the potential to influence divine decisions, and that God's heart is always inclined toward mercy. As dawn broke, the time for judgment arrived. Lot, his wife, and their daughters fled the city under the cover of darkness, guided by the angels. But as they escaped, Lot's wife disobeyed the command not to look back. Her longing for the life she was leaving behind caused her to turn, and she was instantly turned into a pillar of salt. This dramatic moment serves as a stark reminder of the danger of clinging to a sinful past. The Bible tells us that the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Genesis chapter 19, verse 24. The cities were utterly consumed by fire and brimstone, leaving nothing but smoldering ruins. This catastrophic event was not just a display of divine wrath, but a profound lesson about the consequences of living in opposition to God's will. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah stands as a warning that there is a limit to God's patience with sin. When a society turns its back on righteousness and embraces corruption, judgment becomes inevitable. Yet, this judgment was not arbitrary. It was the result of persistent and unrepentant sin. So what does the story of Sodom and Gomorrah mean for us today? The Bible uses this story to teach us several important lessons. First, it reminds us of the consequences of sin. In a world where moral lines are increasingly blurred, the story calls us to uphold righteousness and resist the temptation to conform to societal norms that contradict God's standards. Second, it highlights the importance of intercession. Abraham's plea for the cities shows us that our prayers can make a difference. Even when the situation seems hopeless, we must continue to pray for others, trusting in God's mercy. Lastly, the story warns us about the dangers of compromise. Lot's decision to live near Sodom put him in a perilous position, and though he was ultimately saved, his life was marked by tragedy and loss. This teaches us to carefully consider the environments we choose to immerse ourselves in, and the influences we allow into our lives. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah is a powerful reminder that God is both just and merciful. He desires for us to live in righteousness and to avoid the destructive path of sin. As we reflect on this story, let it challenge us to examine our own lives, to turn away from what is wrong, and to seek God with all our hearts. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is not just an ancient tale, it's a timeless warning. It shows us the devastating effects of sin and the importance of living a life that honors God. May we learn from their fate and strive to live in righteousness, knowing that our choices have eternal consequences. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join us as we continue to explore the deep truths of the Bible and uncover what God's Word has to say about our lives today.